Has been a very violent year. Mayor, good to have you with us as always.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, I hate the circumstances, but good to have you here. So, you know the question we've been asking all month, is Fort Wayne really a dangerous place?
Fort Wayne is not a dangerous place by any stretch of the imagination. We have certainly a mixture of things that are happening. We have some gang activity, we have drug activity, and a proliferation of guns in our community. You put those three together, and you're going to have some tragic circumstances, no question about it.
Is it worse than it has been, though?
I think we have an increase in guns in our community. I don't think there's any question about that. The chief of police has talked about it. I've talked about it. Others have talked about it. We have to have some way of curbing the gun activity in our community. And until our legislature or our Congress does something, our hands are somewhat tied in regards to that. Gangs have been around for a long time. When I was growing up, gangs had brass knuckles.
Right. It was
today they carry guns, and it's almost like a passage into adulthood. You have to get a gun, and to be in a gang, you have to get a gun. Unfortunately, we only have about 200 and some individuals that we can identify who belong to gangs, and that's less than one.
That's a very small percentage
right.
of the city. But
that's true.
The question is, how do you begin to get at the root of this problem? I mean, why are more guns making their way into our community? Why are the gangs getting particularly violent now as compared to the past?
Well, guns have a way into communities, not just Fort Wayne, but other communities as well, because they're easy to get. You can buy guns at gun shows without any type of waiting period. You can buy guns from other people.
These guys aren't getting guns at gun shows, in all likelihood, right?
But somebody else is getting them and buying them from these individuals. They mark them up and they make money. We know that that's happening. That's why we tried to get some legislation passed at the federal level. Unfortunately, it didn't pass. So there's really no way to control the flow of guns. And as I say, they're easy to get. They pass in over state lines. There's a number of ways to get access to guns, and they are growing in every city. I meet with mayors all the time, and every single one of us has a problem with the amount of guns in our communities. Gangs, as I mentioned, have been around for a while. We try to keep a handle on them. We know who they are. We try to monitor them as best we can. We actually have police individuals and vice officers and the like trying to keep their arms around the gang activity. But criminal activity does happen. Many times they want to get money to go out and buy drugs.
I got to ask you, do you think our police department staffing levels, with all that's gone on, are good? Are they sufficient?
I think they're sufficient, Mark. Could we use some more? Yes, and we plan on hiring another class starting next year. But that takes money, and that's what we're trying to do now, is to gain a sufficient revenue stream in order to support another dozen or so police officers. Are we in danger now with not enough police officers? No, our officers are great. Many of them are working overtime to make sure that our city is safe. But if you look at us per capita with other cities, I think we're safer than most cities. Right now, as of March, there were over 30 homicides in Indianapolis. Well, if you break down our city compared to them, we had considerably less per capita.
And we are out of time. Mayor Tom Henry, thank you for setting aside the time.
My pleasure.